The human design system, coming into this particular time in the world, it's a synthesis. It's a synthesis of four ancient wisdom traditions. Now, all of us are familiar with astrology, sun signs, maybe we know a rising sign, moon sign. Astrology basically we use in human design to make a calculation, to find out where everything is at that snapshot moment at which you're born. Also, the I Ching. This is the Chinese Book of Changes. Some people say about a 5,000, maybe more year-old text of understanding things. It's a system of divination. The third ancient wisdom is the Kabbalah, and particularly the Tree of Life. The Tree of Life, you may have seen or be familiar with diagrams of how the branches of the tree link together, linking up various energy systems within. And the fourth one is the chakra system, which is one that it's a system that's very familiar in India. It's basically, I've met people in India while I was there that can look at you and actually see these energy vortices within you, these chakras, and they can tell you how bright they are or what color they are and these kinds of things. But the chakra system basically, in traditional chakra system, we say there are 7 chakras. In the human design system, we see that there are 9 energy systems within us. And it seems that the human being is becoming slightly more complex in these times. I guess we're all kind of relating to that a little bit. And this change from the 7-centered being to the 9-centered being happened in the late 1800s. So looking back from that time, you'll find that all the scientific achievements and breakthroughs and new understandings and new levels of communication started happening in that time. So we've opened up a whole new spectrum of interrelationship. And so these 4 esoteric systems, or these 4 wisdom traditions, combined with these 2 21st century sciences, the first one being neutrino physics. I would love to talk for the next hour and a half on neutrino physics because it's fascinating, but in the context of this evening, probably not the best thing to do. But in a very simple way, or straightforward way, if I can say it, when scientists, and goodness knows how they did this, but when they went to calculate, assuming that there was a big bang at some stage, when they went to calculate where was the mass of everything in the universe, and they looked around and they weighed up all the star systems and all that stuff, and they found that there was about 70% of it missing, and they couldn't explain it. So they put forward a theory. There were these little particles called neutrinos that have a little bit of mass, and there's so many of them, and they're flying through the universe in all directions, and they're actually emitted from stars. So particular stars emit particular kinds of neutrinos, and they fly through the universe, fly through everything, and these make up the other 70% of the missing mass. Now, nobody could actually prove these things existed until 1997, when a combined research in Japan and Canada found out that these neutrinos do actually exist. And the second 21st century science involved here is the human genetic code. And again, you know, very, very new subject matter for all of us. The human genetic code, we find, has 64 genetic codons, and so we're able to recognize parts of our makeup. So what we're saying with human design is, from at the moment at which you're born, the sky around us reflects the sky within us. What is on the outside is also on the inside. So this picture here is of a wheel, pretty colors, numbers, and just to show you what this wheel is representing is a picture of the sky around us. We would be right in the middle of it, and there's a picture of the sky around us. Now, some of you may be familiar with the astrological symbols in that orange wheel, and outside of that we've got a whole bunch of numbers that are written in, and there are 64 of these numbers here, and outside those numbers you'll see these little chop marks, and these are indications of the I Ching. So there are 64 combinations of 6 lines. Basically what we're doing is we're dividing the sky up into 64. In astrology we divide the sky into 12, the signs of the zodiac. With human design, we're getting much more specific. And what we're saying is the stars around us are putting out all these neutrinos flying through the universe, and they come into this circle, and they come out through one of these particular numbers, for instance, and then they come into us. So we get the influence of that particular star field in us at the moment we're born. I'm perhaps making this a little bit more complicated, but what I'm trying to say is the influence of the star on the outside, according to the particular number that it comes through, relates to a gene within us. There are 64 of these hexagrams on the outside. There are 64 of these genes in our human makeup. So what we're saying is portions of the star field and the neutrinos that they deliver equate exactly to parts of our genetic coding. And so with human design, you know, this is very much a 21st century tool, and we're getting very, very specific about it. Now, part of the information that came with human design is this, what we call the life chart. And this life chart, you'll see these triangular things within it, these square boxes within it. These are what we call the 9 centers. The 9 centers in this 9-centered being. You'll see the 2 up the top in the head there. The one in the crown at the top is the center where we get inspiration. We draw in mental inspiration. The one beneath it where we get to think about things. The center beneath that, the throat, where we get to express things. And this is basically the layout. You'll see these 9 centers are linked together by what we call channels. There are 36 of these channels that go between the centers. And on either ends of the channels, there are what we call gates, and there are 64 of these gates. So in drawing up somebody's life chart, we're basically apportioning those parts of the sky that we looked at before in the wheel around us to these gateways within this life chart. If I go a little bit fast with this, please don't worry. It will all make sense as we move on, as I move towards the point of where I'm trying to get to here. But I thought it would be interesting just to see these component parts here. In this life chart, there are 9 of these centers, and 4 of the centers give us motivation to get out and do stuff in life. And so the little one at the top, the little triangle center, is the heart center. This is where we get our willpower from. When we want something to happen, we exert energy from the heart center. To the right is the emotions center, the solar plexus center, where we get our feelings. And we know about feelings, they're always going up and down, they're always changing into new forms. Over to the left, that other square center that's colored in with a red boundary is the sacral center. This is the life force energy center, the sex center, the generator center, we call it in human design. It's always generating life force. And at the bottom, that square center, the root center, the adrenaline center. And adrenaline energy, you know, we get that sudden burst of energy to do something, and the adrenaline turns on, and amazing what we can do in those circumstances. So these 4 centers give us motivation.